Dybala! He is something else. Di Lorenzo, and still Di Lorenzo! The captain brings the house down. Partenopea champions once again, but the 33-year wait will now officially come to an end.
Ciao ragazzi, and Happy New Year to you all. Welcome to another edition of Serie A Sit Down, World Football Index's podcast for your Calcio to go. I'm Frank Rivello. He's Richard Carmen. Ciao, Richard.
Happy New Year, Frank. How we doing?
We're good. Holidays are over. Getting back, slowly working my way back into the daily grind that is life. I think I had the perfect amount of time off from work. Is kind of the way I did. We were closed on December 22nd. And I think it took me 3 days of vacation just to be off through New Year's Day. And that was the perfect amount of time. Do some cleaning and reorganizing around the house, enjoy the holidays, take the kids to things. And then you finally just get to a point where I got to yesterday and I just said, yeah, I'm ready to go back. So, how was your New Year's?
I'm with you. Yeah, New Year's, Christmas, everything was all good. I had a week off of work as well, and I had 2 days of travel in between that, so it was nice to have just that week. And then now, like you, ready to get back. It was all good. Weather's good. Ready. Surprisingly, ready to go back to work today. And as much as I today despised that, but I'm glad to be back again. So It's all good.
Yep, absolutely. So. I'm not a big New Year's resolution guy, but I am not drinking tonight. And that might be a pattern here. I'm not doing a dry January. I'm going to do the best I can to just have it like maybe just one night a week where I can enjoy a beverage that might not last. But just trying to do something, kind of get things going. I joined a gym. So I'm looking forward to that, so I've been working out at a gym again. I'm back doing that. The home workouts weren't cutting it anymore. So it was time to do something. It was time to do something. I think it's just the convenience of having everything at home, like weights and a bike and a couple of other things that we have. And it's just like, I'll get to it. And then I go do a chore, and it's just like you push it and then you don't do it. Where you go to a gym, you got to get off your ass and you got to drive somewhere. And it's like, okay, well, if I'm here,
exactly,
might as well put in a workout. So
exactly.
It's kind of that's my line of thinking on that stuff. And, others might say, no, I love working out at home because I don't, want to deal with being intimidated by other people's workouts or that sort of thing. And God bless you, that's your thing. But I just was like, I think I'm motivated if I'm around people that are working out, and I think it's kind of one of those, you're doing that. Well, I can try to do that, but you're also in your 20s. And so I'll do a lot. I'll do the same number of reps with a lot less weight. But anyway, it's just one of those things. But hopefully I won't be one of these people that I used to kind of like look at and laugh at when I used to have a regular gym membership, that we'd see them for about the first 2 to 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden the gym is half empty again.
We'll have to do an update here every couple of weeks on you to see if you're still in the gym.
I will be. I think I'm going to take this seriously. I'm even considering a personal trainer too. So just trying to find a new line of motivation. So
seems like Anthony, who's in the chat, by the way, Happy New Year's. Anthony says he agrees with you as far as not being able to be motivated at home with a gym. So
yeah, it's just hard. So
it is.
Did we publicize this? Anthony's the only guy in here. What happened to everybody else?
It's New Year's.
Where's Reno? Where's
people
Apex?
Are still hungover. He's got to. They'll come in. They're slowly relaxed. They're slowly shaking off the hangover.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just going to be Anthony's. It's just going to be all Anthony.
Hey,
so
usually it's right.
Fine.
I was kidding.
Just fine.
That's right. All right. So,
we should talk about what we're going to. We should get to what we're going to talk about on the podcast.
Run for a show tonight. So we're not going to do too much of the recap of the games. We're going to do a small recap of the match week 18 games.
I do have to ask, by the way, pardon the interruption, but I don't see the rundown.
Yeah.
You see what I did there?
I too am also getting over my New Year's hangover, and so things are a little bit slower to start off the season, right?
Yeah.
But we're gonna have a little rundown of the Matchweek 18. Like I mentioned, quick recap, more focusing on Juventus Roma. Then we're gonna get into our awards. We're gonna look at players you ought to know, the youngsters of the season who you really should know who they are, and then get to our best 11. Talk about top managers, and see where we go from there. Probably end with who in Calcio Twitter. So a lot to get into this this holiday edition, this award edition, mid-season award. Michael Lisi, yes, we saw your tweet. Don't mind that. All right, it's our mid-season awards. We decide.
Don't be getting all technical on us, Michael. Come on. The mid-season point is this weekend. We're only a few days away.
Who do you think you are, Orsato? Come on, Michael.
Jeez. Somewhere Juve got a penalty. Because of our decision to do our midseason now instead of everybody else is going to do it next week. That's just the other thing. We'll just be ahead of everybody, as we normally are with a lot of players. So
there you go.
And comment. So yeah. So and I guess it's a great time to do it because apparently our Serie A teams didn't want to score a lot this weekend. Actually, it's actually kind of an interesting thing. Goals are way down this year. We've had 180 games and only 446 goals. That is just under 2.5.
Wow.
I mean, we had some years here where we were well over 3.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's a product of some of these teams, improving themselves tactically. You still got some pretty bad teams out there. You still got some teams that are probably a little bit in and over their head. But you're seeing much more rigid tactical approaches on the peninsula than you might be seeing in other places. It might also be a product, Richard, and we'll get in the Juventus Roma game here in a minute. And I guess since I brought this up, we'll talk about it now. And you don't have the thing up, so we're just going to jump around topic to topic on this today.
Yeah.
So I think it speaks to just an extended amount of fixture pileup over the years now, ever since COVID and return to play, and things like that. And there have been some breaks for the players and that sort of thing, but nothing that had been significant in the past, and now you've got players that are going to be off to AFCON and that coming up. So that's going to affect squads. So that's going to affect squad depth. You've got teams that are dealing with multitude of injuries that they're probably not being able to perform at the peak that they want to. Some teams that had to go through some managerial changes, and things like that. There's a myriad of reasons, but the goals are down. I don't think that's a permanent trend. I think that's going to be a blip. I think eventually, as over the long run, as players are going to start to have a chance to recover, we're going to get back to kind of seeing the high 2s to 3, a little over 3 goals a game average. But it certainly concerns me that the goals are down on average as compared to years past.
Yeah, like I said, I think a lot of it has to do. It's a multitude of reasons. Compiling of the fixtures, like you said, injuries has been a big play into this. And really it's just also some players are getting found out, right? Like Cavada, he's one of them. The players are starting to understand what kind of play what kind of style he plays, and so try to counteract that. It's a little bit of everything in this, and so with the 5 substitutions, you got a lot of rotation going on. So
sure.
It's a multitude of things, but I think overall it will go back up, no doubt about it. It might go way up during the AFCON, but we'll see here. But it should be interesting month, no doubt about it.
Yep, definitely. So let's we talk about 2 teams that are probably primary reasons for goals being down in Serie A this season, Richard. Juventus and Roma.
Yeah, interesting game. The marquee game of the weekend, no doubt about it. This is Juventus hosting Roma. Starting 11 for for the host Juventus. You had obviously Szczesny in goal. Back 3 of Danilo, Bremer, Gatti. Midfield 5 of Kostic, Rabiot, Locatelli, McKennie, and Weah, with Yildiz, Kenan Yildiz, and Dusan Vlahovic up top. The youngster getting another start in this one. Yildiz is he was excellent in his first game and getting the goal, that one, and this game too, I think he did very well. I think this is certainly a stable lineup, and when Chiesa is not in the lineup, I think Yildiz brings enough that doesn't seem like they miss him too much. Obviously, he's a super talented player, but Yildiz, he's coming to his own. He's still a teenager. So thoughts on the Juventus lineup?
I mean, pretty much expected. Yildiz, it's an interesting thing with teenage players, there's they go one of two ways in this league. Either they have no idea what they're getting into, and their naivete is either a positive for them or it's a negative.
Yeah.
It could be, hey, I really don't know what the expectations are, the pressure, the pace, that sort of thing. I'm just going to go out and play my game and play loose and enjoy it. And, this young man seems to be doing that, and you've got other guys who just, it's the moment and the opportunity, they're not ready for it. It's way too big for them. And we've seen that happen probably more often than we've seen the former and what Yildiz is doing so far.
Yep.
I liked the performance. I liked the shift that he put in. Was decent on the dribble, can go at people, wasn't afraid to go at people, wasn't afraid that was, Gianluca Mancini, who's a card waiting to happen for a bad foul. And, he just said, I'm going to go at these guys and I'm just going to go out and attack it. And I think that's a positive way to do it.
Yeah, 100% agree about that. Certainly a good lineup for them. Looking at the visitor side, Roma in goal, Rui Patricio, back three of Indica, Llorente, and Mancini, with a midfield five of Zalewski, Bove, Paredes, Cristante, and Christensen, with Lukaku and Dybala. Starting 11 there, fairly standard. I think it was always interested to see how Dybala would do against his former team. Dybala has been excellent, this season when he's played. He's only played like 12 games or something in this season. And also Bove, could he continue on his fine form this year and build on it against a strong, stout defense that is Juventus? Rock fight A versus rock fight B, two teams who love to do rock fights to see who would win out. And both teams who like to give up possession really someone had to have possession in this game, Frank. But thoughts on Roma starting 11?
I think you had to expect that this was going to be a rock fight when you see these two teams. You see their styles and the way they play. I mean, Bonetti said it right off the bat in the telecast. He says these are two teams that don't like to have the ball. So somebody's going to have the ball here. If I'm Roma, the home team tends to dictate the way they want to play, and Juve is going to let you have the ball. Mm-hmm. I would have started Pellegrini. And I probably would have started him over either Bove or Cristante. I think I would have gone. I would have. But this is just me, and this is just my wild thing that it was just like, I think I'm going to have more of the ball than Juventus is. I want to play Pellegrini from the start, and I want to bring in Cristante later in the game. I want to see if I can pin Juve back, put some pressure on him, not just have Dybala who can provide some creativity in a higher position, but Pellegrini who can provide some creativity in a midfield position. Mourinho just doesn't roll that way. No. And he just says, you know what, we're going to dogfight with these guys. We're going to rock fight with these guys, over the course of 90 minutes. We're going to get our chances through specific players. We're not going to do it with having a multitude of playmakers out there. We're going to do it through winning through the midfield, trying to get forward. And see if we can get our chances going from there. So if it's me, Pellegrini over Cristante, just because I know I'm going to have more of the ball and I want to be able to dictate that, and I want to be able to have the playmaking in more than one position, where I can try to see if I could pull Juve loose a little bit here.
Well, your boy, Brian Cristante, tried to loosen up the defense there with a wonderful shot in the fourth minute of the game. Hits the post, first post of the game there for Roma. This game, first half, was a rock fight, but it was an entertaining rock fight, I thought. Good opportunities going both ways in this game. I think Dybala had a great opportunity early on, Vlahovic as well. The first real great chance of the game happened around the 18th, 19th minute, where Vlahovic gets at the end of a ball, takes a shot. Mancini comes diving in, makes a great save. I think Rui Patricio probably would have had it as well, but so really great job done by Mancini to make a save there. And overall, I think the first half was pretty good. Obviously the highlight for me, and I don't know what your thoughts are on the first half, but just before halftime, Juve were coming down and loose ball in the box. Kostic gets a great shot at it. It's going past the keeper, but Evan Ndika off the line, play of the week, one of the play of the week nominees right there, just saves it there. Heads up play by Evan Ndika. This is kind of defense that we've been hoping to see from him because we've
Mm-hmm.
seen this in the Bundesliga from him in the past. He read this play from the beginning. As soon as he saw the ball go out wide, he knew there's a chance to go by Rui Patricio. So he got behind the keeper and made that great clearance there, keeping it 0-0 at halftime, Frank. That was it kind of summed up the first half of how I thought it was fairly exciting for me, even though it was a rock fight, to go back and forth. And then, just at the end of the first half there, Ndika with a great save. Thoughts on the first half and that save?
A little more of the ball for Roma, but the better chances for Juventus.
Agreed.
I think that both teams appeared to try to play through their striker.
Well,
I think that certainly Juventus was more successful at it. I think Roma had a hard time getting Lukaku involved. I think that Bremer
Did he play?
Yeah, he played. I think Bremer had an awful lot to do with that.
Yeah. Gatti as well.
And Gatti, yep. But I thought it was a target play masterclass by Dusan Vlahovic in this game, not just in the first half.
No.
I mean, the hold-up play, what do we say when we talk about the Roma Napoli game? Roma's going to try to just kick the crap out of you, okay, if you've got the ball and they're anywhere around you. And I thought Vlahovic held up really, really well against that. Didn't go looking for the cheap foul, used his strength, used his attributes. I mean, if you want to be a striker and you're not blessed with breakaway pace, but you're big and you're strong and you can absorb things. Watch Vlahovic in this game against Roma. Great example of how to be a target.
Yeah.
At a high level, and especially with the way Juve play, right? Because that's going to be. He's going to have to be pivotal. Yeah. He has to get it. He has to hold it because you need that for Juve to work their way out and establish their shape. And he had a great chance off of just completely spinning off the defender. I believe it was Llorente on that chance in the first half that Patricio was able to save. And then, the runoffs. Good running off the ball by the Juve midfielders once they were able to join up and link up, and it led to the goal. It was an example of that kind of play. Was the reason why Juventus scored, which you're going to talk about next, right?
Yeah, and I think kind of going back to the some other players, I think Vlahovic is only good as his teammate, his complement, which in this instance would be Yildiz. We see how well Vlahovic and Chiesa work together, the chemistry there. Yildiz, like you mentioned earlier, the naivety of him and just attacking the defenders played a very good complement to Vlahovic, and it was the stoic poise number 9 with a guy who's a bit more fluid who can go in and out, and they linked up very well. They allowed runners, like you mentioned, like the midfielders. A lot of the first half, you saw Weston McKennie cut into the box, and then into the second half, as you just alluded to, get out the gates right away, and again coming down the left-hand side, ball ends up getting the box to Vlahovic, makes a wonderful backheel pass to Adrien Rabiot, who towed the line there, very close to being offside, slots it away short side. Bad goal to give up if you're Rui Patricio. 1-0 would go to VAR check, but the VAR confirmed he was onside. I think he was onside all the whole time.
Yeah.
But a goal of the week candidate right there. Just a wonderful, intuitive play by Vlahovic again. A guy, a number 9, doing what he's supposed to be doing, and then with allowing those midfield runners to come because of that hold-up play, and then you get the goal. Adrien Rabiot is having a sensational last 2 years, really, for Juventus. He puts the goal away, 1-0. And at that point, you're looking, okay, we're parked the bus time for Juventus, but wonderful goal there from Juventus, I thought.
Yeah, agreed. In a season where we've been seeing some outstanding goalkeeping, we have Rui Patricio, who gets beat at his near post. I think a prime Rui Patricio never lets that happen. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, we're going to split hairs if we're going to take a look at things on that front. But again, it comes back to Vlahovic's hold-up play, his target play, and Rabiot having the presence of mind to run off it and be able to finish the chance that he's given. Good goal. And then what's coming next with Juventus having the 1-0 lead. The rest of the way out, it's going to be Allegri ball, and it's. Patricio needs to part ways with Patricio at the end of the season. Are you saying his wife needs to part? What are we doing there, Anthony?
He just has to lose.
so anyway, so perfect example. You knew it was going to either come off of Vlahovic or Vlahovic was going to score the goal. But it was well crafted.
I agree. And I think, if we saw the Roma we saw in the first half, in the second half, there would have been a great chances, I think, for Roma to get back into this game. However, whether it's because of the adjustments of Allegri and terrorism ball or Roma not being able to capitalize, either way, there was really no great opportunities in the second half for Roma. I thought Juve, they bent but didn't break. There was one great opportunity, and I forget who had the opportunity in the second half, but it was a long distance shot. I think it was Paulo Dybala. Paulo Dybala did have a great outside the shot in the first half, but second half he had a shot from distance, and that was like the best that he had, and Roma had in that second half. And Szczesny really wasn't threatened in the second half. It was a fairly comfortable win for Juventus in the end of it. I thought the first half was certainly tested. Very open game. Both teams had their opportunities. Like you said, Juve probably had the best opportunities in the first half. But as the second half went on, Allegri ball started taking over in terms of defense, and they kind of just snuffed out all the main threats from Juventus, or excuse me, from Roma. And ultimately, you talked about, the striker play, and I think it felt like, at least in the second half, that Roma, and maybe for most of the game, the Roma were playing with 10 men because Lukaku really wasn't visible. It's because Bremer did a fantastic job in the game, as did Gatti and Danilo. And so kudos to those two for pocketing them again. I think Juventus put out a cheeky video about Bremer extending his contract and taking out his pocket and all the attackers that he's pocketed this season. Well, you can add Lukaku to the name of that, and it showed in this game because Roma hurt because of Lukaku not being visible in that game.
No, I agree with that. But let's take it a little bit further, and let's talk about the Pellegrini decision and starting him at the game. Now, Cristante, Paredes, Bove, whose playmaking do you respect out of any of them? Do you take any of them over Pellegrini?
Oh, no, but I like Bove this season because
I like his work rate and I like his energy, but I don't know if I like him as a playmaker.
Correct. No, I agree. But I think Bove needs to be in the game because of his energy and his work rate and his just being young and feisty. I think Paredes is a guy you need because of his willing to start a fight with anybody and throwing the other teams off. It worked great against Napoli.
Yeah.
Cristante is a guy that we don't really see eye to eye on. I mean, well, you and I do, but we don't like what we see from Cristante. He has his moments for sure, and he had a great shot in the first 4 minutes of the game. But out of those three, he's going to be the one I'm dropping because I want Pellegrini to come in the game, and I kind of like the attributes the other two possess over Cristante. Now, if this is a different game where you knew you're going to you're playing a team like Empoli or whatever, or somebody who you're decidedly better than, having that kind of lineup in there and having those Cristante in there, sure, that's fine. But when you're playing one of the best teams in the league, you need to have your best player out there, which is Pellegrini is arguably the best player outside of Dybala. He needs to start that game. If he's not healthy enough, okay, that's fine. But the idea that even if he's healthy and he's not starting the game is pretty stupid for me. Super sub or not, he needs to start the game. He's your captain. Put him out there.
So you have a midfield three here that you don't respect any of their playmaking. So clearly Juventus doesn't respect any of their playmaking. Yeah. So while Bremer and Gatti were tasked with the responsibility of maybe marking Lukaku and being tight and dealing with them, now McKennie, Locatelli, Rabiot can get themselves in positions where supply into Lukaku is cut off. Yep. Because there isn't a midfielder out of those three that any of them have to go out and get to. So you can't, if you don't have a guy in the midfield that can create and that can do the playmaking, and you clearly don't have it with Cristante, Paredes, and Bove, you're not going to stretch this Juve defense, and you're making Juventus play their game plan comfortably. Okay. Yeah. Pellegrini makes them think about it, said, we got to make sure we get to him and close him down. And now you create a few other alternatives. You know what I mean? Yeah. So to me, that's where I say, hey, Pellegrini should have started. you have that extra dimension. You know you're going to have the ball. You've got to figure out how you're going to get this Juventus. You have to figure out how to get them off balance, because they don't give you anything easy. And again, Juve didn't give Roma anything easy. Szczesny wasn't troubled. Did Szczesny have to make a big save in this game? No,
not really.
No. So
I think maybe Mourinho was hoping that he'd get more play from like Zalewski on the left and Christensen on the right.
Okay.
And those guys didn't do much either. I think Juventus did a really great job. Kostic and Weah defensively did a really great job. I thought, Locatelli was stubborn, especially that second half, didn't allow much. And I thought McKennie and Rabiot were allowed to be free and do what they do best and, be good box-to-box players and then set up plays and get into the box. They did more for Juventus in terms of midfield action versus anybody that you're talking about, those three players in the middle for Roma. And, Mourinho gambled big and lost big in this one. So,
yeah. And Spinazzola didn't even get a look in this game. He was on the bench the whole time. And I don't know if he's still dealing with a knock or if there's something going on there.
Yeah.
But Zalewski is clearly preferred.
Yeah.
So that's another potential. I mean, overall, I felt this game pretty much went to plan. It was physical. It was intense. Chances not necessarily were going to be at a premium there, but there were going to be some very low percentage chances taken in this game because you've got two teams that really don't give you a lot as it is. And I think, it's easy. It's reaching for low hanging fruit. To say that Juventus carried their game plan out better than Roma did, but they did. I mean, not just because they won 1-0, but because they weren't put into any situations where they had to be uncomfortable at any point over the course of the 90 minutes. And I think that was, and to have the discipline to just kind of remain in your shape and play the way Juventus did says a lot. I mean, they don't chase things. They don't chase things. If they don't respect you as a playmaker in the midfield, they're not coming to get you, and they're going to let you play, and they're going to just take away all of the dangerous passes and passing lanes. And Juventus did A+ job of all of that. And then you couple that with Vlahovic's target play, which created a lot. Juve deserved the 3 points here.
Yeah, and I think they really could have had a second goal. There was a late in the game, I think 88th minute or so. Illing Jr. and Chiesa, linked up together.
Yep.
Wonderful play by Illing Jr. Get the ball to Chiesa. Chiesa magical footwork and got the ball in the net. Made it 2-0. I called it back, said it was offsides, but the play was so beautiful. I thought a goal should have counted. It wouldn't have mattered at that point, really. But yeah, that was the second best threat in the game, and that was an offside play for Juventus. Again, Roma did nothing. Juventus absolutely deserved the win in this one in the shutout. So,
where does this leave us? I mean, it probably leaves us with. I don't think that really anything changes. I think if Roma would have found a way to get a point out of this game, it's one of those, hey, look what I found kind of situations.
Yeah.
And they'd be happy with it. But I think then you go and you look at Juve here. They continue to solidify their place as one of the two best teams in Italy.
100%.
And again, it's the football's not pretty, but it's getting results. And when you talk about manager of the midseason, Max Allegri deserves a lot of credit. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he stays true to what he thinks is going to be the best way to win for Juventus. He doesn't deviate from it. He doesn't get carried away. He said, this is the way it's going to be. Come and score on us. If you can, congratulations. You get the 3 points.
Yeah.
I think it benefits Juve that they don't have the European competition because they played this way last year and playing every 3 days. They were getting the brakes beaten off of them. If it wasn't in the Champions League giving up 4 at Benfica, it was at Napoli giving up 5 to them.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I think that having this singular focus on Serie A has really, really benefited them. And the style that they play, you're not going to wear out. Players aren't going to wear out. I mean,
no.
It's a lot less running than gegenpressing or, some of the more mass possession games or wing play and some of this other stuff. It's just getting early positions. Then you don't have to sprint. You don't have to work extra hard. And especially defensively. And then just be ready to deal with the situation when it comes to you. It's very simplified. It's Stone Age, but it still has a place. It apparently still has a place in football because they're getting it done and they're winning at a high level.
And I think, oddly enough, despite them not playing in that many fronts and just having to focus really on Serie A, they have been able to use a lot more youngsters this season, just sprinkle them in, and it helps with them. I mean, Illing Jr. again is getting a lot of play time. Maretti, can't say Fagioli because he's out, but Yildiz, Keenan Yildiz, and a bunch of other youngsters are getting some time that they probably wouldn't have had last year because they've been so focused on. They've been so spread out. Allegri would have tried to get as many of those players as many reps as possible. Now he said, I can afford one or two positions here a game and allow these youngsters to try. And he's building his team now, so this is actually serving Juventus really well in the long run as well. And which you wouldn't think being in less competition, but hey, it's another benefit of being solely focused on Scudetto and really keeping Inter on their game this year. So, yeah,
agreed. Roma, I don't think there's anything to really look at and say, we're we're in trouble or anything. Like you went to one of the two best places. You played away at one of the two best teams in Italy. You didn't get any points.
No,
a lot of teams are going to be in your position. So, so we move on to the rest of match week 18, and this is going to be really fast. Fiorentina beat Torino by 1-0. It was a Luca Ranieri goal in the 83rd minute, assisted by Michael Chiodi. I'm going to have some things to say about Michael Chiodi here a little bit later. Spoiler alert. Really a game that Torino had their chances in, but Fiorentina come away and escape with the win. Napoli Monza 0-0. A penalty for Monza in the 68th minute that Pessina took poorly was saved by Merit. Napoli had 9 shots on target in this game, outshot Monza 25-8. 9 saves for Michele Di Gregorio. I think we're going to be talking about him in a little bit too.
Sure.
So we're going to have a recurring theme here, Richard, the way this is going. Genoa and Inter 1-1 there. Marco Arnautovic in the 42nd minute, finally getting his first Serie A goal for Inter, only to be pulled back at halftime by someone that would have made our You Better Know Them team, Radu Dragusin, who headed home a cross from Albert Goodmanson. Unfortunately, we're not going to put Dragusin into that team because he is on his way to Tottenham Hotspur. So unfortunate because a budding star in this league, and Tottenham knew what we knew and what others were starting to come around to. And
they're listeners to Serie A Sit Down, so they were able to scout him ahead of time.
I think Andre Postecoglou loves him some Serie A Sit Down, and that's why he's got Vicario over there, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So we'll maybe we might have to be Tottenham fans just because of that, but I don't think that he'll ever confirm that anytime soon. Moving on, Lazio and Frosinone, a 3-1 win for Lazio. Mattia Sula on a penalty in the 58th minute. 70th minute, Castellanos with a interesting headed goal from Isaacson, and then reversed that for the 72nd minute. This time Castellanos provider, Isaacson score. So Isaacson gets his first Serie A goal, and then Patrick in the 84th minute in a 3-1 win. Lazio, at least for one game, coped well without Ciro Immobile and Luis Alberto, who weren't available through injury. Atalanta through Adamola Lookman, a goal of the week candidate, winning 1-0 over Lecce. Cagliari and Empoli. We wouldn't have noticed, but I'm reading it anyway. 0-0. And that one, shock of the week, Udinese hammers Bologna by 3-0. Udinese had 27% in possession in this game and scored 3 times. So Bologna suffering a heavy defeat. Been a while since we could say that about them, and been a while since we could say they conceded 3 goals.
Yeah.
Salernitana go on the road through Chauma and win at Verona 1-0. An important win there for Pippo Inzaghi's men. Milan, oh no, they only scored 1 goal against Sassuolo, who has such a bad defense. Pioli out, right? But Pulisic gets the goal and gets the win for the Rossoneri, and that's how it wrapped up for the year. Richard, what little we have to talk about with these games, we should talk about it.
Yeah. Well, first off, Terracciano did a great job for Fiorentina. I figure we'll probably talk about him a little bit later as well. Fiorentina quietly in the top four. Another team like Bologna, who's just been doing the yeoman's work this season, obviously playing on multiple fronts. Last season, Vincenzo Italiano found a way to get his team to hum really well playing on these multiple fronts. Doing it again this season. Started out slow, but now they're getting back on track, and so good to see Fiorentina doing there. Napoli, Monza, I think, I don't know what the hell Pacino was doing on that penalty kick there, Anthony. Mind-blowing. He just wasted a great opportunity like that. And then overall, I think what we saw in that game, I know a lot of Napoli fans were talking how, look what there's a play where I think Bando totally tackles Kvaratskhelia and then like steps over him and they started like going at each other. And it's like, I know it's a bad play, but get used to it. This is what's going to happen. This is what happened to Leao his second season. The teams are going to go after your best player, and you got to find other ways to, one, keep your head on straight, and two, find somebody else to contribute to the team because he can't do it at all. He can't do it all himself. And so on that play, they kept saying, "Oh, well, it was unfair." Like Bondo got a yellow card. Bondo got a yellow card too. Mazzani got a red card, and ultimately got a red card, being stupid. And then Palladino got a red card in that game as well. Matic as well late in that game. Feisty game, entertaining. I thought Napoli should have won that game. I think Anguissa, if he was 2-footed, he would have scored a goal, and he was set up beautifully by Kvaratskhelia. But he goes for the most difficult shot possible in front of the net. I don't know what the hell he's doing. Misses that wide open goal there. But Napoli really should have had it, and they missed their opportunities. Monza had some great chances late. Genoa again, they were the dentist chair against Inter. Made it difficult for them. Inter had certainly their chance. Arnautovic, again, unable to pull the trigger very well. Got the goal, but he had some other opportunities he missed. It's clear that the young player Jan Bisek is a guy they're targeting for headers. Led to that goal because that's like second or third time they had gone to him off a throw-in to try to get a goal. He's a player to watch out for, certainly. Lazio took them a while to kind of get their legs going after they went down in that game. They kind of woke up, and Castellanos, I like that header that he had. A wonderful looping header there. Certainly interesting, like you said.
Yeah.
And then, the big upset of the weekend, Udinese and Bologna. I'm not going to take anything of this. I think Bologna had just came off of some stellar results over the last week or so, and this is a top game for them. Udinese are a difficult team. They don't always score, but they found a way to get one in this game. I'm gonna overlook this loss for Bologna because I think this is nothing of it. Udinese were bound for a win here. They were playing much better, but they just caught Bologna at the right time, and had some great goals. Luca had a goal of the week candidate there, assist by Samardzic in that game. Pachero and Pareda, they contributed as well. It just a well done game by Udinese. So I'm not gonna take anything else outside of that. And I think in that 0-0 game with Cagliari and Empoli. Cagliari did everything through a kitchen sink, but they couldn't get a goal in this game. There was a play where, what's his name? Pavoletti took out the keeper, and he got a card for it, and the goal was taken away. Cagliari was close. They played much better. I like to see it when a game like that, when it's like a relegation 6-pointer. This is the kind of games you want to see what Cagliari are made of, and you can see that Ranieri has had a positive effect on this team. They didn't get the win, but they look good. They look fairly decent at home. They had majority of the shots in this game, majority of possession. I thought they were the better team. They just didn't get a goal, and so I think it'll come around slowly. But a draw is better than a loss for Cagliari at this point. And the more points you collect this time of the season, the better chance you have of surviving at the end of the season. So that's my quick synopsis, I guess, overall.
I'm with you. I think that they'll pull Verona into the relegation and they'll survive. I think that between Ranieri's managerial abilities and Uh, and the way they're coming together a little bit and the talent that they have on this team, it's hard to not see them get out. At the beginning of the season, I think we were concerned about the attacking options, the lack of pace. Luvumbo can certainly provide that. I should say. And then you've got Nicolas Viola in there, who's a veteran player that can do some creativity. Yankto gives you something on the left with crossing. There's enough pieces in here and enough experience at this level that they can see this through. But it's one of those where they're going to have to reinforce if they want to see a third season after the second, because it's going to be one of those where if they don't do a lot, they're going to find themselves in a lot of trouble. They're that classic team that they might have just enough in their locker to survive this year, but they better figure it out for next year if they want to make sure they have more of an extended stay.
Kind of what Hellas is going through this year.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely. Udinese that was Udinese's second win of the season. They have 11 draws. Why is it always Udinese doing these weirdly spectacular things and it sneaks up on us? Like we never pay attention to it, and then all of a sudden
they play good enough defense. It's just they can't score, and occasionally they have these games where the team it's a trap game for the other team, and then they find ways to get goals like this.
Yeah.
They're decent enough. They should be playing a lot better. They're underperforming, but 11 draws. It's because they've been in games. Some of the games they should have won. Maybe the game they should have won.
Yeah, they're certainly not making. They certainly they've found a way to just get points and make this thing look legit. Even though it's 11 draws, it's the weirdest record line. Played 18, won 2, drawn 11, tied 5, or drawn 11, lost 5. I mean, they've drawn more games than they've won and lost combined. I don't think I've ever seen that.
We play to draw the game.
Yep. So, oh man. So it's so those are the main things that I've got. Milan winning, a debut for the kid. What's his name again? Zaroli.
Yeah. Played again today in the Coppa Italia.
Yep, looked all right.
Jovic getting hot. Jovic is getting hot.
Yeah, how big would that be for Milan coming up the stretch? And then I had this conversation because we talked about this last week, and then I also had this conversation kind of in a Twitter sidebar DM with Martino. Okay. Talking about the fan base and just how insufferable some of them are with the Pioli out stuff, and something needs to change now, and et cetera, et cetera. And it's just like when you're taking a look at it, and I said, take a step back and take a look at what they've accomplished this season. Okay, Milan are they have had a as big an injury list as anybody, not just in Italy but in Europe. And they're third. When all of these guys come back healthy, are they going to suddenly suck and not make the Champions League? Is there something I'm missing here? No. Because, and then you also factor in, they switched to formation. They go to a 4-3-3 from a 4-2-3-1. Although I think there's been some traces of double pivot in recent games with Milan. Mm-hmm. But it's just one of those you go back and forth, and you got to look at Milan. And I said, and this is to all of Milan Twitter, including the Pioli out crowd. I think Milan, it's not just because they're third in the standings, but I think that they have firmly planted their position as the third best team in Italy. Okay. And I think when they get everybody back, they're going to consolidate that position. Yeah. Okay. At a very minimum, it's never too late to make a charge. I mean, they're not in the. There's never too many. It's a matter of how serious they take the Europa League. That's going to be part of the conversation. They're still in Coppa Italia, but when you take a look at it, Richard, I mean, they get all of these guys back. They're as good as everybody. I mean, they might be too many points back to make a push for Scudetto, but I think I can comfortably sit here and say with 20 games left, Milan are going to finish at least third.
You mentioned all that, and the most attributed factor to all of this is down years for Leao and Teo Hernandez. All that plus those two are playing down. So if those two are getting hot and then you get everybody back, this team is going to be firmly third best team in the league. I think the best job that Pioli's done this season and in company is that they had how many new purchases they have, and to get them all on the same page, plus all the injuries. Now you're seeing all the players that they signed are starting to come around. Chukwueze is slowly coming around with Jovic. He's starting to get hot. Reinders is finding his form. He's become one of the main guys in the midfield now for them. Pulisic is having a fantastic year. He's lifted the weight that Leao has dropped this year. It's just a whole bunch of multitude of players that are playing well, and now you see this kid, the youngster playing left back today, and his name is escaping me at the moment. Jimenez. He had a great game today in his debut start. So yeah, all these players, all the pieces are starting to come together, and so all you need Okafor and some other players come in, get the players healthy, and then all of a sudden you got a team that's challenging for the top 3 or challenging the top 2, but not necessarily going to catch them, and going to be firmly in that third position, like you said. I think once everyone's healthy, if they get healthy, that's a key word, if. But if they get healthy, I don't see anybody else below them catching them. I don't.
I'm looking up something real quick, but while I talk, because the Leao part is fascinating. I'm just looking up what it was Milan's record through 18 games in the 2022-23 season. See if I can get a.
Was that last year? No, yeah, last year.
I think I'm just going to get full year stuff. Yeah, that's what it appears to be. As I'm trying to flip through some of this right now. Through 18 games, 2022, 2023. Yeah, I'm not going to. Okay, I'm not going to find it. I guess I'd like. Now, let me ask. Here's a thing to ponder, because the Leao conversation is fascinating, and people say Leao's having a down year, and some people were complaining about him. He's not scoring and all this other stuff. And I think, what does he have? He has like 3 goals so far this season. I can pull that up.
I think it's like 7 goals and assists total or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, so,
go ahead.
But I think, aren't we? I think you have a Milan that has more balance to it.
Yeah, that's fair.
When you see Pulisic playing and starting to contribute and kick in goals, you're getting better play through the midfield. So I think that it's not just a matter of sitting here saying, I think that he's still performing. I still see the burst. I still see the winning some of the 1v1s and stuff like that. And he's maybe not finishing as much as he did last season, but last season and the season before, you can look at Leao statistically being elite, and a lot of it was because Milan lent itself to be a little more Leao dependent. Mm-hmm. And now you've got Pulisic on the scene scoring goals. You've got goals coming from, Giroud has 8. You have Loftus-Cheek contributing a little bit through the midfield. Reinders, to your point. Maybe the fact, I think we also have to consider that, all right, the pressure really isn't on Leao to be the man right now. And it's probably a good thing that he's kind of finding his way with all of the new players around him, that once he figures it out and starts scoring, this becomes an even better Milan than it is now.
So I slightly disagree, because I agree on the fact that, yes, the pressure is not on him from everybody else. I think on him, the pressure squarely on his shoulders. I think he thinks he has to be the Messis of the world, the Ronaldos of the world. And he's so what I like that what he still has all the talent, the skillful plays that we know and love with him. But what's been frustrating with me was a prime example in today's game of the Coppa Italia for those who watched it. Jovic is having a great game, 2 goals already. He's on a hat trick. All of a sudden, you bring Leao into the game. Jovic doesn't touch the ball for the rest of the game, maybe one other time, because Leao keeps trying to do everything himself. It's like, yes, and he got a goal. After like 50 shots doing the same play, he finally got a goal past the keeper. But something's really working in this game. It's getting the ball to Jovic, finding him, and Leao is trying to do everything himself, not passing anybody else. Pulisic came in the game. You didn't even notice him in the game because he was quiet, because Leao was doing everything himself. And it's like, taking on guys, being the one-on-one is great, but when you make it at the expense of being too selfish and taking away the rest of your players and making your team neutralized, that's what it's been frustrating for me. I think he still has the talent. He just at times tries to do too much himself and tries to make himself show everyone, hey, I am Vinicius Jr. Look, I can do what he does, and it's to the detriment of the team. And I think when you have when your team is playing well, like today, it just detracts from everything else. And I think had he started from the get-go, this might have been the same result. It might have been a much tighter game.
Okay.
This is how I feel.
That's fair. Okay. You know, but I think that, or do we just say, hey, it's the same production that he's offered in previous seasons. He's
Yeah,
just not scoring at the same clip.
yeah,
You could say that too.
yeah.
I don't think he's suddenly become an awful player and,
No,
or any of this other stuff. I mean, all players go through this kind of stuff. How many months Kvaratskhelia, my
18
gosh,
months or something.
like he went almost like a 7 month stretch without scoring in
Yeah.
Serie A,
It was like
you
March
know?
to October or something crazy like that.
Right. I mean, so everybody has their dip. It is awfully hard to maintain a consistent elite level of play for a long, long period of time. All the great ones go through a problem here and there. So I don't want to overwhelm and just say, yeah, it's a regression, because it isn't. It's all right. He's creating, he's producing, he's trying to take on some things himself. Maybe he doesn't have to take on as much himself. And I think he continues to feel this out. But I think we see a layout as we get closer to the spring, get back to the form that we've been accustomed to seeing, mainly because there's motivation for him with all the places that are up for grabs in Portugal's national team at the Euros.
Yep.
He's going to want to be in that conversation. And if he continues at the form that he's at, it's going to be really, really hard for Roberto Martinez to play him. He'll still take him.
Yes.
But
Start him.
Exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of form, and the lack thereof, usually goals of the week, Frank, we have lots of options, but this week it's a little starved for options. Do you have a top five?
I have my three.
Okay.
Chalma's number 3 for me, the goal for Salernitana. I like the individual goal from Lookman, and at number 2 for Atalanta, and I like the kind of the trailer volley there by Pajero for Udinese as my goal of the week.
Okay. I'm going with the Vlahovic backheel flick to Rabiot for his goal for Juventus at number 3. I only got 3 as well. Number 2, I believe it's Samardzic to Luka for the goal. Wonderfully read pass, and Luka just did it phenomenal finish there.
Yeah.
My play of the week, though, and I notice how I said play of the week, it's Evan Ndika goal line clearance off of Kostic in that game against Roma. Could nearly saved the game for them. They ended up losing the game ultimately, but wonderful.
Probably sacrificed a few brain cells the way that the pace with which Kostic struck that ball too.
It was a well struck shot for sure, and he cleared it off the line with his head. So that's my play of the week. So
all right, well, good. Want to hand out some awards? We'll hand out some mid-season awards. These are the Serie A sit-down mid-season awards, or if Michael Lisi's listening, the near mid-season awards. So hi, Michael. Let's start with our manager of this mid-season. I think that's a pretty cut and dry conversation here. It's got to be Thiago Motta for having Bologna in a position to contend for a top 4 place and be in the Champions League with a relatively limited squad. And playing a style that maybe frustrates a little bit, but gets the job done. So for me, it's, and I think that's going to be for everybody. Thiago Motta is the manager of the midseason.
We did a poll this afternoon to see what people's thoughts are on manager of the season. Let me pull that up real quick. As of right now, 28% people voted for Simone Inzaghi, 13% for Max Allegri, 57% for Thiago Motta. And then let's see. There's 2% for other. So I assume the other is for Pioli. But in all seriousness, I think it has to be Thiago Motta. I mean, what Simone Inzaghi and Inter are doing at the moment is fantastic. They've been a blue machine this year, just really doing it on all fronts. They've been dominant. They've been playing excellent defensive ball. Jan Sommer has been a revelation for Serie A fans. And then their attack has been brilliant, and they've done it everywhere. They're really a European threat. So all kudos go to Simone Inzaghi for that. Max Allegri as well. He has a little bit of a shorter hand in terms of talent and what he has at his disposal, but he's just doing it the Max Allegri way. He's stubborn. He realized that Max 2.0 doesn't work. Let me go back to Max 1.0, and it's working. And Juventus are keeping pace with Inter this season. And it's been a wonderful job for the way he's gotten both McKennie and Rabiot and just that midfield in general to play at the level that they are. The defense was going through some rough patches, have now solidified, helping Szczesny and to kind of seal the deal. And then Chiesa and Vlahovic have found us rekindle their love affair that they had back in Fiorentina, and it's all of it is working. And you get some youngsters sprinkled in there as well. This all goes to Max Allegri, so he gets obviously heads up, and then probably another manager outside of Thiago Motta that I think deserves mentioning is Vincenzo Italiano. What he's done, his team is currently in fourth place, quietly in fourth place, like we said earlier, and playing on three different fronts for back-to-back years now, making it difficult in Serie A for his opponents, making it difficult in Europe. This team is multifaceted, and when they started the season, they were very hot. Everyone's picking them for Scudetto, but they went through a rough patch, and Vincenzo Italiano kind of fixed all the mistakes that they were having, and they quietly is getting back into it. They're not getting the flashiest results. It's a little Allegri-esque in terms of how they're getting their wins, but Bonaventura is having a fantastic year, and a bunch of the complement. Corta is having a stellar play defensively and getting some goals offensively as well. Terracciano has been a revelation for them. So Fiorentina, what they've done under Vincenzo Italiano, he deserves a lot of credit. But Thiago Motta, ultimately, what he's done with Bologna, finally getting them to play at the level that we all thought, exceeding the level we thought they could play. We thought Bologna was maybe an outside chance of Europe. He's got them currently fighting for a Champions League. He's played the best teams in the league thus far, and he's gotten a favorable amount of points against all of them, which is unreal. He makes it difficult for everybody. His defense is sublime. They got some great players that are just showing up. Xerxes, Salamaker's contributing. You have Ferguson, who's having a fantastic year. It's just the team in general has picked up the ball, that they taken the inspiration that Thiago Motta's given and kind of ran with it. And hopefully, it lasted the whole entire season. It is so far, and it's great to see what Bologna's done. And Thiago Motta deserves 100% because no one saw this. People could see Vincenzo Italiano doing this. They could see Allegri and Simone Inzaghi doing this, but Bologna, no, nobody saw this coming. And so that's why he's the manager of the midseason.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think you can make a case in any other season. You can make a case for any of the managers in the top four, and I'll even include Pioli in that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Considering the injuries that he's had to deal with, and we've already, we're beating a dead horse here, and he's got him in third.
Yeah.
Allegri with the way they're playing, Inzaghi with the way Inter's playing, and then Vincenzo Italiano with the job he's doing at Fiorentina to have them in fourth. It's very impressive. You go a little further down the list, and I think that Eusebio Di Francesco deserves some recognition for the job he's done so far at Frosinone. Alberto Gilardino with the job he's done at Genoa, having them in 12th. Some challenges lie ahead because I think that some of the players and their performances have gotten other people's attention. We've already talked about Dragusin going to Tottenham, where, who knows if some of these other guys are going to still be around and what kind of reinforcements there's going to have to be. Sylvan Hefti, I believe, is leaving, but he didn't have as much of an impact this season with Genoa as he probably did before with other managers.
Yeah.
So that was another one that I caught and I noticed. So those are the guys that I think that deserve recognition, for their efforts so far, halfway through the season. So let's move on and talk about the You Better Know Them 11. At Serie A Sit Down through the years, I think one thing that we've prided ourselves on is catching that player that we think has something to him, before everybody else does. We kind of take our evaluation of the teams when we watch them seriously, see what's going on the pitch, people that get our attention. And we don't want to just start naming names and just throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. We look at guys and we say, yeah, there's some legitimacy here. There's a chance for something sustained to be going on here. So we want to recognize 11 players, and something that I pulled off, and it was thanks to a transaction that happened today. No team has two players in this lineup, Richard.
Yeah, that's good.
There's 11 different teams represented. So, And one of the things that we're probably going to have to do is check back with this and see what these players have done. If they, and I think a good way to put it is if they've moved on to a better club or a better situation, then it's a hit. If they've kind of, if they've kind of been consistent in staying where they're at, depending on we got to, that's just subjective, but it could either be a hit or we can just say it's neutral. We talked about Armand Loriente, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Okay. We hit some of these guys, and we certainly, we take some pride in it. There's been lots of players. We were probably one of the first on Dejan Kulishevsky back in the day. So just to give you an idea. So now we've kind of turned it into a team, and we like to do this halfway through the season. So it gives all of you a chance to pay attention to some players that you haven't been paying attention to. And previously, we've mentioned a few of these guys, and we may not have mentioned any of these guys. So, but here we go. And I did a 4-3-3 formation. No real reason. Just wanted to do it that way. The goalkeeper on the You Ought to Know Them team is Michele Di Gregorio of Monza. And you may know him. But the man in 17 games for Monza has made 72 saves. If you want to take a look at a reason why Monza are where they are in the table in 11th, Michele Di Gregorio is a massive reason for that. Massive. He has kept teams. Just this past weekend against Napoli, with 9 saves against them. Is just the tip of the iceberg. But Richard Di Gregorio.
Yeah, the reason why he got that one call up with the Azzurri a couple months ago, he's been having a great year. He's been, if you don't know who he is, check out some Monza games. He stands out, one, because they get a lot of shots against him, but he makes these fantastic saves. He makes the hard saves, he makes easy saves. He really does it all. Keeps his teams in the games. A good reason why Monza is where they are on the table, 11th position currently, is because the 72 saves that Di Gregorio has to make. He is a fantastic keeper. And I saw, I don't know if it was Uncle Sharma or someone said, hey, Roma, you need a goalkeeper. Get Di Gregorio. Rui Patricio's not it. So this is a guy who probably won't be at Monza very long. No. Hopefully he stays in Serie A. We saw a guy, Vicario, we were ahead of the curve on that. And look, now he's over in England.
Carnesecchi at
Carnesecchi now, yeah.
Last year, now Atalanta. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Skorupski's doing a great job now at Bologna. But Di Gregorio, I think he is due to be going to a better Serie A club, and Roma could certainly use him. And I'm sure there's a couple other clubs that don't have necessarily a stable number one that they could go for him. And so, hey, why not? He is a goalkeeper that's if you don't know who he is, you ought to know who he is. Go watch Monza games.
Yep. And go watch because he's playing on a team that's allowing him to get shelled, and he's making save after save. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to read off all 4 defenders here, Richard, and then you can have a reaction to it. At right back, we've got Michael Coyote of Fiorentina. If you look at transfermarket.us coming into this season, he was valued at 800,000 euros, and now his value is 12 million in just half a season.
Not too bad.
Great attacking skills as a fullback, great crosser of the ball. Plays with good width. Also is a decent enough defender. A guy that kind of came through the youth. I think he came through Juve's youth system, in fact, and then kind of bounced around before he finally. And then he went to Fiorentina's U19s, and then they called him up. Great story with him, and a guy you better keep watching because in a season, right now where the right wing back position has been crap. He's looking really good. He's looking like he's amongst the best in the league if we're just talking about this season alone.
Nearly made my best 11.
Yep. He was very close. So, but we'll put him in this team instead because we wanted to give him the recognition.
Yep.
Our center backs, we have George. You're going to like this. Alberto Docena of Cagliari, 6'5" center back. He's going to win some balls in the air, isn't he? And he's also going to be a guy whose head you look for in corners. He's actually got 2 goals. For Ranieri's team this season. So strong in the aerial duels, strong in attacking sets, decent positioning about him, plays with some physicality. We like him. We see good things for him. He's 25 years old, a little on the older side, but making his presence felt might arguably be Cagliari's best player so far this season. When you look at it. And then the other center back, we've talked about him a few times before, Riccardo Calafiori of Bologna. A converted left back, converted left wing back, and he's been a big part of Bologna's defensive success. Prior to coming into the Udinese game, Bologna through 18 games has only conceded 15 goals. And I think that Calafiori's had a hand in that. He's been and a lot of it's all defensive chops. Wins the individual duels, collects the free ball, starts the attack with passes, doesn't overcomplicate things either. But found his way in this team. And then the left back is now with Milan, Filippo Terracciano. Had some good appearances playing for Hellas Verona. He was effective in the defensive areas for Verona. This is a depth signing for Milan at the moment, but it's a depth signing with upside. So Coyote, Dosena, Calafiore, Terracciano, Richard. That's our back four in the You Ought to Know team.
Yeah, four excellent players, players with high ceilings for sure. Obviously, Terracciano going to Milan for €2.5 million. That's what the rumor is at the moment. That's a steal for Milan. You talked about last week. We talked about Buchanan being a steal for Inter with €10 million. This is also a steal here for AC Milan. And Terracciano, he's going to be a depth player, absolutely. One for the future. Obviously, between him and Jimenez, the left back side of Milan looks comfortable for years to come. And they got, by the way, they have Teo Hernandez there, right? But look at Calafiore. We talked about Calafiore this year. How could he make that transition from left back to center back? We talked about how he struggled at Roma under left back, and he wasn't really working with Mourinho. He goes over to Thiago Motta, another job, the brilliant job that Thiago Motta's done, finding his players and finding little action to get them to get to the next level. Califiore's become a converted center back, and he's done a marvelous job with Bukema back there. He in a position where we thought was maybe a absolute weakness for Bologna going into the season. He's one of the main reasons why they solidified and have a third best defense in the league. Calafiore is having a phenomenal year, as is Dosena. I think Dosena is quietly doing a stellar job in center back. You just watch what he did against Napoli this weekend against mobile players like Caputo, really shutting them down. He's smart positionally, has a little bit of pace. He obviously has the ups because he's 6'5". He's a big guy, so you want to look for him and set pieces. But he's a guy who his IQ is very, very, very strong for a 25-year-old. And so someone who you want to, in the long run, I think will be a solid depth player for any team. He could probably start for many teams in Serie A. And so look for Dosena to do some good things. And then, lastly with Coyote, I mentioned how he was almost in my best 11. If you look at the right wing position this year, he's up there when you look at the numbers and what he's done. Has he necessarily have all the assists or goals that some of the other players have? No, not necessarily, right? You look at someone like Di Lorenzo, has a lot more goals and assists than he does, but he's steady, consistent week in and week out. Some of his best games are against the best teams in the league. And so that tells you what kind of player he is. He's smart. He's willing to step up when the game gets bigger, the lights are shining a little bit brighter. He puts on an extra performance, and that's what you see in a good player. And so all four of these players have done some nice things this year that we've noticed. And I'm curious to see how the season progresses for each of them, and including Di Gregorio, even though he's a little bit more known commodity for us. And I think, excited to see how they progress, and do they stay with their current teams?
Yep, agreed. This is a nice back four and a nice way to get this started. We have a three-man midfield. We're going to start with Morten Frendrup of Genoa. I think we have a all-around midfielder on our hands here that has a future. Ball winner, great in recovering, great in winning duels, but he also has chance creating ability. He has 4 assists this season. So kind of a box-to-box plus type guy, and has been a real spark for Genoa. A matter of time before he potentially links up with a better team here down the road. So if you take the time to watch a Genoa game and just watch Morten Frendrup play, it'll be worth the time for you. So going on to that midfield, Christian Torstvedt of Sassuolo. Sassuolo just find these midfielders and plug them in. Unreal. We were talking about Bologna, and it hasn't totally worked out, but Torstvedt in particular, very versatile. Can create, can score, can defend. Does a little bit of everything for this Sassuolo team. Will play, can kind of sit in that 10 role behind Pinamonti, can also play a little bit further back in more of a holding role. Like the skill set on him, a guy that we think is going to just continue to get better and better, a Norwegian international. So you see the talk about Odegaard, you see the talk about Haaland, you see the talk about some of the other players that they have in this team. And Torstvedt is just, a guy that can slot right in and also play, be a good fit for their national team as well. And then we round out with Jacopo Fazzini of Empoli. Mm-hmm. Young box to box midfielder, but he's also creative. Also can do well on set pieces. Young guy, 20 years old. He's going to be the next young Empoli youth product that Empoli cash in on somewhere down the road. We like the talent on him, and we think that he's got a bright future. These three guys, Richard, talk about them a little bit, and maybe a little bit. Okay, if their next move, where's a good fit for them? That would be a good conversation to have.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think all three of these gentlemen, they've done excellent. They stepped up to the challenge this year. Obviously, being a youngster in the league, it's always sometimes hard. We talked about it a little earlier with Kenan Yildiz. Like sometimes when you're a little naive, you're willing to attack attack the defense a little bit more. You play with a little bit recklessness in a good way, and sometimes you cower and you kind of have a struggle of a season, kind of like CDK had last year. But I think all three of these guys showed, Fazzini, the attack in Empoli at times looks really nice and it's really smooth, but you need that midfielder, box-to-box midfielder like Fazzini to kind of get in there and kind of disturb the piece and then set those breakaways or those counterattacks going the opposite way, and also contribute offensively, whether it's with goals or assists and trying to set up your teammates. You obviously have a decent striker in Caputo. He's getting up there in age, but he can still put the ball in the back of the net. And so they need a guy like Fazzini to kind of help with that transition game. A good move for him. I think probably the next best step for him is maybe somewhere like a mid-table team. It would be nice to see him in a Torino or a Monza, maybe even a Lazio type. Just the kind of player that he can, the kind of skill set he can bring to those teams. I think those teams are lacking in that department a little bit, and he would help in the depth department eventually in a starting position. Thorstvedt is a guy who just another product of that Sassuolo pipeline that they keep finding these gems. It's year after year they find all these players, and Thorstvedt is part of that Norwegian pipeline, which it's a little bit of a renaissance for them now, or a coming out season for them. With all these players, you're starting to show up that obviously led by the Odegaards and Haalands of the world, and starting to get more recognition now. And so Thorstvedt has been he's such a good vision, good player, good work rate. I think all three of these guys have really great work rates, and Frendrup is more of the same line. I think Thorstvedt, you're probably looking at maybe like I'd be curious to see how he would do in like an Atalanta situation. I think obviously they have a Colt Miners there who does excellent in the attacking side, but he would add to that midfield, I think, to help him out and help Coop Miners and company kind of. The attack is missing just something. He could probably be that little extra piece in there that kind of gets him over the line with a little bit more goals. But for me, of the three, the guy who really got my attention this year was Michael Frendrup. He just missed my best 11 this year. I think he has Juventus written all over him, in my opinion. Box and box, who reminds me a lot of Weston McKennie, a young Weston McKennie. Where he is aggressive, can play a multitude of positions. He's a jack of all trades, can play anywhere on the right side of the midfield or in center midfield. Can get up in the attack, as you mentioned. Has I don't know, 4 assists this year or something you said. Can get goals as well. Smart player, physical player. I think that would be a good player for Juventus to kind of develop and take the next step.
I was going to say Juventus, or he's even an Inter midfielder. Inter would be a really good fit for
a backup or something. Yeah, no, I could absolutely see that. I think all three of these guys are phenomenal players, and I can't wait to see what the next step is. But Frendrup of the three, I think, has the highest ceiling of all of them.
Yeah, I'm with you on all of those takes. Fazzini. Yeah, Dominic, I think we've all beaten that one to death. Fazzini, I could see at a Fiorentina.
Yeah.
I think that would be. I mean, obviously, that's the Tuscan rivalry there. It might be difficult for Fiorentina to pull off signing him, but but with the system that they play, that seems to might be a decent enough fit. Thorstvedt, I would, and I'm not saying this out of being a homer, but Thorstvedt would make a nice fit at Milan. I mean, that 4-3-3 right now is craving versatility. It's craving versatile midfielders. Like a Thorstvedt. So, and like I said, Frendrup, Inter, Juve would be ideal places for him to slide right in. Could even make the case for a Roma. Where that, I think that he's, the potential is there. So let's keep an eye on all three of these, because I think they're all on the way to being good players in this league that are going to have bright futures. Maybe not at the club that they're currently at. They might find work at better places. So
Yeah.
Moving on to the forwards, and one guy who's been performing like gangbusters right now in the forward position is Goodmanson of Genoa, and he's not in this team because I think he's known enough now. That's really what it came down to. We wanted to try to find those guys that, hey, you're not paying a lot of attention to these guys. You should be. Watch him. I think Goodmanson has made a real big name for himself so far this season.
And to Dominic's chat, same thing with Loriente. Loriente, we've kind of known him already, and he's a known commodity at the moment. He is the probably outside of Berardi, the best player for Sassuolo. So kind of why we didn't mention Loriente as well.
Yep. So our forwards in this team, we're going to start with Lamek Banda of Lecce.
Yeah.
Pacey winger, can play either flank. He can score. He can create, as evidenced by his 2 goals and 4 assists so far this season for Lecce. Has been a value for them. Lorenzo Luca of Udinese, who we talked about earlier with his goal. He scored with his foot. 6'7" aerial target, 6 goals and 1 assist on the season already for Udinese. For an Udinese team that doesn't score much, he's becoming a relied upon source of goals. Would like to see the target play get better. I think that just has a lot to do with his lankiness, and that it's maybe a little bit easier to get for defenders to work past him and win the ball from him and things like that. But that's an area of his game that definitely has to get better. And then a guy we've talked about a lot here, but we're going to just put in this team because I think he still kind of goes quiet in the landscape of Serie A, and that is Cyril Ngonja of Hellas Verona. He's proven that he can play centrally. He can play wide. On the season, he's got 5 goals, 2 assists. He's good in 1v1 situations. He's good in creating chances for teammates. Solid all around in the attacking areas. One of the few bright attacking spots for this Hellas Verona team. So Richard, Banda, Luca, and Gonja. That's our front 3 on this team.
Yeah, all 3 of the players are been having really good seasons so far this year. Obviously, starting with Luca, we talked about him today, how he had that nice goal. Wonderful. So the goal he made the goal he made this weekend for Udinese, Samardzic made a difficult pass where everyone thought Samardzic was going for the shot. He makes a pass kind of across the grain, and most young strikers at that point would just take a shot and then hope it goes in. Luca opens his hips up and then places it away from the grain, away from where the keeper's going. Such a brilliant play. It's a difficult play to do. So he's really good with his feet, but he's also really good in the air. He's a lanky player. He can get stronger and get a little bit better, but he's so good in the air. I mean, what is he, 6'5", 6'6"? He's a huge guy, and or at least he plays like that, and he can get up there. So he's really good in the air. He's good with his feet. He's mobile enough. I think he's a player who he just makes it over the likes of like Hristovic or Piccoli because he came out of nowhere. Really, those other guys we kind of knew about already, and
we didn't even know about Hristovic, but but go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that I think Luca is a player who gets a little fills out to his body a little bit more. He could be, I'm not gonna say Luca Toni because Luca Toni wasn't as mobile. I think he has the aerial ability, possibly reaching a Luca Toni level. I'm not gonna put that much pressure on him, but he's got a lot of skill set that he hasn't even tapped yet, and he's starting a little taste of it. He's obviously got the composure to score goals, as we've seen with Udinese this year. 6 goals, that's pretty impressive, I think. And then look at the 2 wingers, Banda and Ngonj. I think Ngonj is obviously commodity for us. At least we've been banging the drum for him for the last couple of seasons. He is so fast, so pacey. He knows how to beat a trap. You rarely see him get caught off sides. He just knows how to beat that trap. Good with the ball at his feet. He can create plays by himself. He can link up with his teammates very well. Ngonj is a player I see is going to be moving on very quickly from Hellas. I can see with any of the 7 sisters, honestly. He would be a compliment in the depth department for any of those teams. He's got a nose for goal. He can assist plays. He backtracks very well also, so it's somebody to watch. And Banda as well. Banda is very versatile. He can play on either wing, like you mentioned. To have a player that you can swap on any side, when a player that you can move around, it could just give nightmares to the defenses. You think you got him shut down on one side, he just moves on to the other side and scores a goal. Lookman has did a little bit of that with Atalanta. And then Traore even did that with Sassuolo for a bit before he left. But Banda is got a powerful shot on him. He's super pacey, knows how to find those open spots and get on the end of passes, and links up very well with his strikers and his team members. So Banda is, of the 3, probably the most accomplished at the moment, I guess I can say. And Gonja's up there too, but all three of these guys are guys to look out for. And, you could take any of the Lecce guys, really, Banda included, and throw them in there. They just have such a versatile and imposing attack. I wish their defense is better, but Banda has been one of the best players, I think, for Lecce this season.
Yeah, agreed. I'm with you. Banda, I think, fits right into a Maurizio Sarri's Lazio.
Yeah.
I think that would be a beautiful spot for a guy like him. And Gonje, for that matter, would fit into that team too. As a winger and with some of the characteristics that Sarri likes in that role.
Roma.
Roma's a little tougher for me with the way they play with how they got Lukaku situated and Dybala. It's just slightly off for me. But let's just say that fit might have potential. Is probably the way I would say it. Honorable on this, Almqvist, we talked about Luvumbo of Cagliari, who we mentioned earlier. Lewis Ferguson's having a great season at Bologna, probably kind of known already. We talked about Gudmundsson. Remy Udan for the midfield for Lecce. He's been kind of a creative player through midfield for Lecce this season. A little bit older, though, I think, is what probably kept him off this list. He's 27. And then Buongiorno, he kind of made a name for himself to help Italy qualify for the Euros already. So, but make no mistake, I think Buongiorno finds his way on a better team, at some point. So that's kind of what we had for the honorables there. And now we get to the business. We each picked our own Squadra Finora. So, Richard, I'm going to let you go first. I'm going to sit back and see if I can poke holes at your team here.
All righty. Well, as we normally do with our best 11s, both midseason and final, it's whoever's leading the standings, we use that formation. So this year, it is Inter. Inter and Juventus use similar formations, but we're going with Inter since they're leading the table with a 3-5-2. It's, the players you ought to know. That team had one of every team. This best 11 is probably going to have a majority of a couple teams only, right? But it is the way it is this season, right? So my best 11 in goal, Jan Sommer, a player I've known for a very long time, playing the Bundesliga with Borussia Mönchengladbach. Stepped into Serie A like a glove. He's stepped into the defense like a glove. He's just a phenomenal keeper that continues to do it at his age. And he's had I don't know how many shutouts. I've lost track of how many shutouts he has this year. He's been so phenomenal in there in goal. With me, the back three, I am going to go Danilo, Gleason Bremer, and Francesco Acerbi. I think this was difficult for me because the defense, there's a lot of good people I could put in there. Some honorable mentions, what I'll mention later. This is one of the toughest positions for me to fill, I think. But I like Danilo and Bremer. I thought really the back three of Juventus, they've been phenomenal this year. Really stepped up this season to really challenge Inter. So I think, Bremer was a no-brainer for me. He was one of the best defenders of the year. I think Danilo had a really great year this year for me. I like Gatti as well, but I didn't put Gatti in this. I think Acerbi has having a fantastic year as well. I almost put Bastoni in there as well because Bastoni's having a great year. But I went with 2 Juventus, 1 Inter, and the back 3. My midfield 5. So I'll start with the 3 in the middle. Hakan Çalhanoğlu is my regista. Phenomenal year. He's cut into another level, and it's hard saying this as a player who used to play for Milan, right? But you got to give him his credit. He stepped into that regista role like a glove. His tackling ability is phenomenal. He obviously has the vision, the passing, the shooting ability. This year he's been perfect from the penalty kick position. So Hakan is regista. And then I'm going a couple Juventinos there. I'm going with Weston McKennie and Rabiot. I think both of those gentlemen have had fantastic years. Rabiot is just continuing having a big year after the World Cup. He's just continuing going on and going on. He's really been one of the best midfielders, if not the best midfielder for Juventus. He sets up plays. He can. He obviously has defensive abilities. He's great in the air, great footwork. But Weston McKennie is the Energizer Bunny for this team. He's a versatile player. He's a box to box, but he can play right wing back. He can play right wing. He can get into the box and play attack if he needs to. He can play any position you need, as Juventus fans have seen this year. He can score goals. He's getting the box. He should have had probably a goal against Roma. Got set up beautifully against Kostic. But he's been quietly been one of the best midfielders for Juventus this season, in my opinion, and probably even last year. and he doesn't get enough credit as he does. Rabiot usually gets all the limelight in the midfield there, but McKennie deserves a lot. So that's my midfield 3 with the 2 wing backs. Federico Di Marco, I mean, he is a no-brainer for me. He is the best left back in the league. Teo Hernandez having a low year, but what Di Marco has done this year, that goal from midseason or midfield, fantastic. He's just he's a big game player too. He has Inter written all over him. He's black and blue in his blood. Such a great player. He's getting better defensively as well. So he's all around, best left back for me. And then right back, I could swap McKennie in and out with this position with his next player, because this next player, his best games have been against the best teams in the league. I'm talking about Antonio Candreva. Yes, Salernitana. Candreva, 4 goals, 4 assists this season. He's the only bright spot for Salernitana this year outside of Ochoa. He can get an assist done. He plays any position you need to in the attack, but mostly he's been playing right wing back and right back. And he, even in his ripe old age of 36, 37, he's still getting it done. He's still getting it done. And in the best games, the biggest games, he shows up, as he beat Milan a couple weeks ago. So that's my midfield 5. And then front 2 is the no-brainer. It's the Inter front 2. They're the best in the league. Lautaro and Marcus Thuram, they've been phenomenal. They fit each other so well. They complement with the pace. The Marcus Thuram has the pace and can beat the back line. Lautaro can play like a big man, even though he's small. They're both great in the air. They're both great in the feet. They just find each other no matter what. And Thuram and Lautaro can play with anybody else on that team, but they play with each other so well, and they've played like they've been together for 10 years, and this is only the first season. So those 2 are by far my first top 2.
I don't hate it. I think we've got a couple of differences. I've got 3 different players, 3 that are different from yours. So I'm with you on the goalkeeper. It's Jan Sommer for Inter. He's multiple clean sheets, goalkeeper of the best defense in the league when you're looking at goals conceded per match. My honorable there is Pietro Terracciano, Fiorentina, who's having an excellent season for the Viola. We already talked about Di Gregorio from Monza. So my back 3, I'm with you on Francesco Acerbi for Inter. I think he's been just excellent this season. I think Bremer for Juventus, I think he's been the best defender in this league this season. But where I differ with you, I'm going to give the nod to Sam Boikema of Bologna over at Danilo. I think he's been an instrumental part. Again, Bologna has done it with defending, and he has been a big part of that since coming over from the Eredivisie. I mean, what other league can you get the kind of on-the-job training and tactical know-how and things like that? And Boikema has just bought right into it, played really well. Certainly needs to be in the Netherlands plans here in the future if he isn't already. Yep. The right wing back position, I just racked my brain and I considered the Candreva thing and thought, okay, not a bad idea. 4 goals and 4 assists for what's been a very bad Salernitana team. I thought about some guys that I could try to pull out of position because I want my team to be functional. Yep. So Giovanni Di Lorenzo makes it because I still think he's the best right back / right wing back in this league. For everything that's gone wrong with Napoli this season, at least Di Lorenzo has been a constant. Okay, there are some moments where he has certainly taken his roastings and things like that, but certain fullbacks, and that's just the state of fullbacks and wingbacks in this league. They all have. Yeah. But until I'm shown otherwise, now Michael Coyote could have made this spot.
Nearly made it for me. Yes.
And was damn sure close to getting in there. But I put him in the I guess I could have put him in 2 teams. I could have put him in the you better know them 11 and did put them and put him in this team here. You know what? On the fly, this is my team. I get to do whatever I damn well want. Giovanni Di Lorenzo is out. I'm putting Michael Coyote in there.
There it is. Okay.
Michael Coyote, unprecedented, makes 2 teams. Now, I mean, we've only had Squadra Finale and Crap on a Cracker, so if you made both of those teams, that's probably not good.
That'd be impressive.
So let me put Michael Coyote there from Fiorentina, okay, just because I think that functionally it works. He's performed extremely well. Yeah. He's been a big part of why Fiorentina have been so successful, so I dropped Di Lorenzo into my honorable mentions. So there you have it. So he's my right wing back. I'm, going into the midfield. I am with you on Adrien Rabiot. I think he's been outstanding in the midfield for Juventus. Can play any one of those three positions in the midfield for them. Also can deputize in a wing back role. Like the versatility, like the goal scoring, like the little bit of everything that he can do. Hakan Çalhanoğlu just gets better and better. It does. And now he's playing in a more deeper lying position, and he's proving that he's got the ability to handle it. I think it's a master stroke on the part of Simone Inzaghi to see that he's a fit in that position.
Yeah.
You had McKennie. I'm going to take Mattias Sula of Frosinone in my squadra finora. Scoring goals, creating goals, been a big part. This is what's George saying? This is my damn team. Oh, he's quoting me.
He's quoting you.
Okay. So Mattias Sula of Frosinone, Frosinone's been a surprise this season, and Sula has been a huge part of that. And then the front two, you can't get past Lautaro and Thuram. So, so I have 6 Inter players in my team, but with good reason. You have 6 interplayer teams in your as well. They've been fantastic. They're in first. They have scored 42 goals in 18 games. They're the best defense in the league on top of it. So they should be that well represented. So that's the team that I've picked. I'll do it again. Sommer in goal. Back three of Boykama, Bremer, and Acerbi. Right wing back Coyote. Midfield of Sula, Çalhanoğlu, Rabiot. DiMarco left wing back. And then Lautaro and Marcus Thuram up front. My bench, Christian Pulisic of Milan, 6 goals, 4 assists, been a big part. Matteo Politano's having his best season at Napoli. I wanted to make sure that he got some recognition for this. Alessandro Bastoni for Inter certainly gets in there. Should mention Henrik Mkhitaryan because he's been really good as well.
Yep.
You can say the whole starting 11 for Inter really.
Yeah.
Domenico Berardi of Sassuolo. I like how Ederson of Atalanta continues to progress.
Yep.
Xerxes of Bologna deserves recognition. Kvaratskhelia has started to come on and has kind of crept his way back into this, and Di Lorenzo of Napoli for that matter. And then some other guys, Candreva of Salernitana. We talked about Terracciano at Fiorentina. And then I'll round it up. Paulo Dybala at Roma has only played 12 games, but also has a combined 10 goals and assists. Can you imagine where Roma would be if he was fit and had been able to take on a full workload? Yeah. And then Jack Bonaventura deserves a place in my honorable mentions. I think he's been very impactful for La Viola.
I agree with your honorable mentions 100%. I'm going to add a couple more to yours. Fikayo Tomori's been the best defender for Milan this season, I think. Sure. There'd be nowhere without him. Who else did you not mention? You mentioned Politano, but Chiesa. Chiesa is a player, I think, who, when healthy, he's going to be phenomenal. But even right now, he's linking up with Vlahovic very well. He's still an X factor. You can see in those Juventus games. No one knows how to figure him out and stop him. If he can stay healthy, my goodness, he's going to be something special, even more so for the long run. I'm talking about for Juventus and the Azzurri. So good. He's on my list. Who else? Andrea Copani, another Monza player, phenomenal player. He nearly made my best 11 and didn't make he's kind of a no commodity now, I guess, right? But he's a player who's been having an excellent season. And then also I would mention Gudmundsson. We talked about him in the youth team player, but Gudmundsson has been fantastic for Genoa at times when they thought they're going to rely on some other players on the team. Gudmundsson's been the one carrying the load for them, and then now the rest of the team is kind of getting to where they need to be. But Gudmundsson continues to provide game in and game out. It seems like all the results. He's a set piece guy as well. He's good on the counterattacks. He's good on the press. He is a phenomenal striker who has a high ceiling. So yeah, that's honorable mentions. And then I see you, I am Pasquale. We did talk about Buchanan, the Canadian, going to Inter. It should be a great depth player for them. I love the signing. It's a cheap player for them. It's a no lose situation for them, and I think the talent that he brings to them, and we kind of talked about this last week, it's only going to serve them well. It's a great system to learn under Simone Inzaghi. Look at Jan Besek has all of a sudden become here in the last couple of weeks. He's kind of really blossomed. I expect it's going to be a slow process for Buchanan, but once he gets in the fold, he'll be ready. Inzaghi won't play you unless you're ready. So I think he's in the right situation to go to Inter, and good to see a North American over there in Italy as well. So happy about that.
Yep. Excellent. Yeah, and Pasquale is saying Di Gregorio top goalie so far. Yeah, he's been an excellent goalie. We put him in our You Better Know Them 11, so I'm glad you know him. So he made it. And I think another guy we hinted about him earlier. Federico Gatte will have his day. He's been very good. I mean, I think it just speaks. And then we were talking about a lot of defenders here, Richard. But we said it right now. The league is only averaging 2.47 goals per game. It's down.
Yeah,
and it's down roughly a half a goal compared to what we've been used to the last couple of seasons. And I think that's because there's so many good defenders. And then when you're doing a squadra finora in the formation that Simone Inzaghi since enters first, you can only pick 3. Yeah. And I think that you can make a shout for anybody that we mentioned here because they've all been that good.
You could pick the entire back 3 of Juventus or the back 3 of Inter, and we couldn't fight you. We couldn't fight you on that because they're all 6 of them have been good.
Yep. But I felt Boikema in particular also deserved some mention in this conversation for how he's played for Bologna. So, 100%. So some very interesting conversations, and I hope this sparks some discussion and some debate here, over the next few days until we rejoin you guys, a week from now. So our Squadra Finora there, Richard's Squadra Finora, the You Better Know Them 11. We've nailed it. Crap on a Cracker comes at the end of the season. We don't do a mid-season one. Yep. We want a full 38 game sample of just piss poor football from players. So that's going to come later in the season. So I think that covers everything, Richard. We can move on now to the world's most popular hashtag game. It is time for Who Won Calcio Twitter.
Boom. All right. Starting things off, we're going Joe Fischetti. So the original tweet was from Calcio e Finanza, and it's saying Orsato might be going to Saudi Arabia with a max offer, and there's a chance he may bid farewell to the league. So Joseph Fischetti, a friend of the show, commented, say, I've never wanted to transfer to Saudi Arabia Pro League more than I want this one. We're all with you, Joseph.
We're all with you. Okay. All right, now moving on to at Juventus FC English. What is in Bremer officials' back pocket?
All right, keys.
We have keys to a Jeep. We got a wallet.
Cell phone. Oh, look, it's Leao in his pocket. And how about a Shayla or Osimhen? Oh, he extended 2024 or 2028. Sorry, excuse me. Very cheeky way of Juventus to say that he's been pocketing attackers all season long. So very well done by Juventus.
Yep.
Very well done. All right, moving on. Michael Lisi. It's the Napoli Scudetto bus lumbers home for the Eternal City after playing Roma.
Yeah, it's about the shape they were in after that game, wasn't it?
Battered and bruised. Yes, 100%.
We have a Perisnich sighting after all this time.
Oh my goodness.
Where's he been all this life? Okay, a shitting battle. Mourinho v. Allegri tonight. This was before the Juve Roma game. A shitting battle. So
yeah.
With a couple of toilets facing each other.
Oh, rock fight there. Savio Falahi comes in and says, Pioli's Milan when Pioli can get sacked if they lose. And it's prime Brazil with all their superstars. It's true. Every time Milan's back is against the ball, Pioli finds something extra, and the team play is phenomenal as they beat Sassuolo and they beat Quality this week. So,
but that's 2006 Brazil that went out in the quarters to France.
This is true.
So.
This is true.
All right. So at M1897, Yildiz might be that dude. He's our Mia Khalifa. The more guys to take on, the better.
For those who don't know who she is, porn star. Oh gosh. Oh my goodness. All right, big show.
Why did I have to read that one?
Speaking of, oh my gosh, Big Show is back. So the original tweet was Joe Cappuccino. It says the duality of style. And that's obviously Vlahovic and Chiesa. And Big Show says both dress like Elton John in different stages of his career.
Big Show's getting it done. All right, moving on. Art Morelli. Time zones are crazy. Australia is in 2024. USA is in 2023. Juventini are in 2020.
All right, moving on. Saturnion, you spoke of Perisnich here. Saturnion, and says, meanwhile, the best wingers in Serie A. It's Leao, 7 goals and assists. Cavada, 8 goals and assists. Chiesa, 6 goals and assists. Pulisic just chilling, 10 goals and assists.
I like that one. Okay, and moving on, Martino Puccio. Chaka, congratulations. What a moment for him. Jimenez sends in the dangerous pass, and he surpasses CDK in the all-time Milan scoring list.
Poor CDK. Poor CDK. Oh, that's our list. That is our list. George votes for Mia Khalifa because simply he's a pig.
We're clean. We're keeping it clean. That was funny, but we can't allow that to be the winner.
Yeah.
Oh my! I think we've got.
It's one of the first two. I think either Juve or Joe Fischetti. I don't know. What do you think? The Mia Khalifa one was funny though.
It was, but I'm not.
I hear you.
I'm not having that in my timeline. That's just so.
Where's that Chiesa one again? Where is it? There we go.
The Saturnian?
Oh no, I was talking about the Big Show one. The Saturnian one's good too, but where's Saturnian? There it is. The shitting battle.
Oh, let's see. On that pic, Chiesa looks like Bubbles from the Trailer Park. Oh, I know what show he's talking about. Now let me go back and look at that. Now that he has said that, I got to see this. Hold on.
So look it up.
Not quite.
He looks like Elton John. I thought it was Elton John in the picture originally.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
It looks like a mom.
I don't know. I'm having a tough time with this one. It's Saturnian for me.
The shitting battle?
No, the Pulisic one.
The Pulisic. Oh, the goal. Oh, Saturnian. I get the twins mixed up.
Or is it Perisnich? Because that's kind of funny too.
Give the brothers a co-winner.
Yeah.
Why not? It's a new year. It's our show. We do what we want.
Okay. Let's see here. So I got to figure this out. Let's see. All right. I'll put them both up if you want to say some words here to the people.
Oh man, put me in the spot like that. No, I'm just kidding. First of all, happy New Year to everyone. Buon anno. Hopefully everyone had a safe and happy holidays and New Year's. Yeah, it's we're back kicking off. We obviously had our awards for tonight to get back into the nitty gritty of things next week. Oh man, trying to think of. I got nothing. I got really nothing. It's new year, new me. No, nothing to say. Just excited to have Calcio back. Excited to be back home. Yeah, excited for the. Just excited.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
You got nothing. Okay. Well, it is a new year. Lots to be excited about. Serie A certainly continues to entertain. It didn't entertain in the goal department this past week, but hopefully that'll correct itself. And it'll be interesting as we go. We gave you some great teams in terms of the awards and where we're at, and we're excited. We're excited for the stretch here in the next 20 match weeks, and taking it all the way to Italy in the Euros. Italy in a major competition. We get to watch finally this summer. It'll be good. So
and there's enough time that hopefully the team can get much better than what they were before. Not that they were terrible, but they can do a lot better.
Yeah, we shall see. So lots to look forward to. And for now, we will put a bow on this edition of Serie A Sit Down. We have our own channel on Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud. We're on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever there's podcasts. There's Serie A Sit Down. The Twitter handles, you can see it here on the screen, at FTC_21 for me, at R_KHARMAN for Richard. At Serie A Sit Down on Twitter or Instagram. Check in with us there. Also on Facebook as well. Those are the socials. SerieASitDown.com. We still have that website? That should be up there, shouldn't it, Richard?
Yes, we do. And no, I've never heard Adani from Bobo TV, but that's funny. I know who you're talking about.
Yep. Okay. Anyway, Now, where was I? If you are watching this for the first time on our YouTube channel, please subscribe. Please drop a like, and then also hit that notification bell because that will give you the heads up when we go live. Again, generally, we are live on our YouTube channel Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Unless a schedule flip happens or a guest puts us in a situation where we go on a different night. We do the best we can, and we will go through the Twitter machine to let you know if there's a change, and we try to give you as much notice as possible. So be nimble on your feet with that. And that's it. Chat, thank you. Some of you guys were late. I'm a little disappointed. I don't know what your excuses were. The hangover day was yesterday. We gave you a grace period. So
Clearly didn't help me, right? Didn't help me tonight.
Yeah, we expect you all to be on time next time, George and Pasquale and Reno and Dominic. Anthony was here. So anyway, but thank you guys all the same for showing up and giving your takes. So great show as always. Richard, ready to do it again next Tuesday night?
Next Tuesday night, 9 p.m.
All right.
Eastern.
We will see you all then. Until that time, for Richard, I'm Frank. Make sure you tell your paisans about us. Ciao.
Sul fondo mette in mezzo l'aggancia di Lorenzo.